All right, we are live here, USCFootball.com television, talking about the USC Trojans, of course, and USC going on the road to take on Colorado. We were going to add an extra person today, but no, we're going to keep it the same at 3, apparently. Hopefully, our buddy Shotgun's on the way. So if you don't know us, I'm Ryan Abraham, publisher of USCFootball.com. We do these shows every Thursday. We have Keely Eure, USCFootball.com reporter. We also have Chris Trevino, formerly of Fight on 247, which is now part of USCFootball.com. He's joining us today. What's up, Chris?
How's it going?
Good, good. And then in the middle, we normally have Shotgun Spratling. So we might consolidate. We play musical chairs and kind of get everyone tighter. We'll see. We're going to give him a couple minutes to ramble in here. But this is the first time we've been doing this. Now, Keely and Shotgun, this is the first time Chris is on, but Keely and Shotgun are usually kind of rolling in fairly close.
Excuse me. I've been getting better.
You've been getting, I mean, you were here first today. Within minutes, I guess,
yes.
Of it starting. So it's not like you're here a half an hour ahead of time, but usually it's pretty close. Like we've had Shotgun putting the mic on as I'm counting down 10, 9, because we schedule it for noon, so we just started at noon. This is the first time we've had someone just fully not be here. So.
Shotgun just texted, I just woke up with some expletives. So.
Oh.
Yes.
So let's tell you what we're going to do. Chris, move over a chair. We'll change the camera angle here a little bit. So we don't have a Shotgun Spratling today.
This is like an orchestra when I get to move up chairs.
Yeah,
you get I don't know what. Yeah. So Keely does sit in the nicer chair. I only have one like nice chair, and Keely gets that one. So because she kind of runs the show. She tells me what to do at practice and stuff.
That is false.
One thing you may notice is my microphone's facing a little different because what was it, Keely? Someone on
Instagram apparently was like an audio expert and said that you were doing it wrong.
I was doing it wrong.
We were doing it wrong.
Right. I think he saw a photo of you guys doing the show, the Family Feud podcast afterwards.
Yeah.
That's probably. I think I Instagrammed a video and stuff.
That's what happened, so.
I've seen it like this before. I don't know. So I'm trying it like this. Hopefully it sounds okay. So what we like to do here is make it interactive, answer your questions about the team. If you have any questions about what you saw USC against Arizona last weekend, or of course what's coming up, USC going on the road to Colorado. Keely and Dan will be there. I'm actually going to be down in San Diego for a wedding, so I'm not going to be at the game this weekend.
That's fun. Weddings are fun.
Yeah, weddings are fun, but it's football season weddings. Like people should know by this point.
Especially for you.
Yeah, it's like, come on, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, what are you going to do? But so type into the Facebook chat all the stuff. Like, give us some feedback. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Ask us questions, and what we're going to do is do our best to answer them. And we got a new voice here, so Chris will be able to. Let's start with Chris. Chris, anything kind of stand out in practice this week? Anything you saw was like, hey, this was cool, or this is weird, or?
Since the Notre Dame debacle, I feel like this was the loosest they've been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think they looked all that. There's some sloppy moments at times, but because last week they looked really, really focused, and this week I kind of saw a little bit more loose. I don't know if you guys saw that too.
Yeah. I think I said an instant analysis with Dan. It seems like ever since they had the team meeting before ASU, they're more fun, a little bit more spirited, a little bit more together, less like individuals. Like you can see that they're having more fun, like you said. So I agree.
Yeah, that seemed to help a lot. For whatever reason, it seemed more. I mean, they just seemed so buttoned up in that Notre Dame game, and they let it all hang out against Arizona State, who. They were hot at the time, and they've won 3 of their last 4. The only loss being to USC. So, like playing loose, letting these athletes play loose, seemed to work. So, Chris, if that's what you're seeing out there, I think that's a good, probably a good sign going into the weekend. Yeah. We'll see. What we should do. So, so if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Inside Troy. Keely is at where are you at, Keely?
I'm at Keely is my name.
Keely. And then Chris.
At Chris and Trevino.
Chris and Trevino. Now, what we really want you to do, though, is tweet at Shotgun SPR.
Yes.
Tell him
yes.
He's a lazy idiot for not making he's asleep somewhere in downtown Los Angeles.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so before we jump into kind of the questions and topics, we actually have a sponsor. Really now, is it really a sponsor? Like, these are my buddies. Like, so I want you to check this out. So this is Bling Wear. So they're sponsoring our Facebook Live show. So what's cool about this is the cup with a championship ring on there. So when you put your hand through, you get to see it. And it's got all the USC national championships on the back. But so it's a USC championship tumbler made from BPA free, Triton plastic. There's a metal replica commemorative championship ring actually embedded into the cup. So it's pretty cool. You can show off your 11 national championships from USC. It's actually Trojan made right here in the USA, in Southern California, actually. So, so that's kind of cool. So it's owned by USC guys. They make it here in Southern California. You definitely want to go check it out. So if you're going to the USC UCLA game on November 18th, they're going to have a Bling Wear Championship tailgate going on right at the USC Fan Fest. It's right outside the LA Coliseum. They have food, drinks, games, all that kind of stuff. And there's a limited edition Bling Wear, which is pretty cool. So there's going to be a promo code. If you want to get these, promo code Peristyle at blingwear.com to get 20% off your order. Again, it's promo code Peristyle, like our Peristyle podcast, on blingwear.com. You can also like them on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. We're actually going to give away a few of these too. So what we're going to do is we actually have a contest on USCfootball.com every week already. So I'm going to kind of hijack that a little bit. So if you go to our USC Sports Free Board, they do what they call as the TGWTG, which is the game within the game, I believe. So go look for the threads pinned to the top, TGWTG. Week 11 Colorado edition, and they have a whole bunch of questions on who's gonna win the coin toss. It's all this kind of stuff. So you get points for every one you get right. So the top 3 people that finish in that thread will send you a free microphone. No, Bling Wear. So it's pretty cool. So go onto that thread. It's on USCfootball.com. Go to the USC Sports Free Board. You don't have to pay or anything. It's a free board. You might, if you're not registered yet, you have to register, but that's about it. So check it out. So we should all get in that contest too. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but
really?
It's worth it.
Shotgun says, "Wow, I'm watching and got called out."
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
I'm still playing with this new microphone configuration. Does it sound? Let everyone know. Does this sound okay? They have different mics. They have little lav mics, but this is what I use for the podcast and stuff. So
I think that's good.
I think it's okay.
No complaints. Shall we get into questions?
We shall.
Bill says, question, why can't Jalen Green be more worked into the offense? I like his style of play. I would love to see Green receive a toss and then throw it back to Darnold. Is there evidence Green is going to get a larger offensive role?
Any thoughts, Chris, before you want to jump in first? Or
I think the wide receivers are playing well right now with what they got going on. Your boy T. Vons, lighten up the world.
He sure is.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's a great point.
I think we had a podcast question on this too, where when he wasn't the starter, they actually used him in some packages and stuff. And it's weird because they got some guys that they have packages for, like Velus Jones. There are packages for him. I kind of think they might do a little bit more of that Jalen Green sort of package thing because he does have he can throw the ball. It's not always great. He was a quarterback and stuff for a while. I think they might use, you might see that a little bit, but they did, I think, especially last year before he was starting the season as a starting wide receiver, they had some kind of packages for him. So I don't know, maybe they'll get back to doing that a little bit more, but I get it. We've had that question before too.
Yeah. Let's see. Judy and a lot of other people are asking for injury updates.
You want to go? They're not too bad. There wasn't a lot of change this week from, at least from Tuesday to Wednesday. Who we're seeing back. So we're seeing Josh Fallow's back. He's back practicing.
Josh Fallow's back. Levi Malapai is back, which that was kind of surprising that he came back so fast. He's not even wearing a brace or anything.
No.
So he's just running without anything, which is a good sign.
Yeah. I talked to him on Tuesday. I'll put some stuff in the war room actually from that. Just kind of a little one-on-one with him. But if you talk to Clay Helton, it sounds like he's day-to-day. I talked to him, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to play. So he seemed like I'm ready to go.
The injuries have been kind of weird this season as far as he's a couple weeks out. He's playing on Saturday. They kind of fudged a little bit.
If they don't practice for weeks and weeks and then they play in the game, is that normal?
I don't know. Iman Marshall was back. He was practicing with the second team. He was practicing with a brace on his knee. He's still kind of working himself back. Who else? But as far as out, Uchenna Nwosu did not practice this week. He looked much better than what he looked like on Saturday coming up the tunnel. He was really gimpy, but he actually was moving smoothly. We saw him Wednesday. Porter Gustin's not at practice. Christian Rector's at practice. He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
His hand is kind of just wrapped up in a bandage. The interesting thing, though, is that Helton said they might see if they can club it. So
Yeah.
we might see Christian Rector on Saturday, even though he hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. So, yeah.
I thought they could have clubbed him earlier. Like, if you could, like, why didn't you club him like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Shotgun said that Christian Rector told him on Saturday that he might have to get surgery for his broken fingers or hand or whatever. So and the decision was coming this week. So I don't know if that has a factor in it. Probably does. So yeah. Also, underrated injury, Toa Lobanon. Halton hasn't
where's
really
that?
said anything.
No, that's been weird. Like, he's not practicing.
Yeah, he just wasn't practicing, and he didn't look like he would be. Like, he didn't look like he didn't dress in pads and kind of was limited. He just did not play at all.
Yeah.
And he has a brace on his left knee, which is, I believe, not the ACL knee that he tore.
Yeah, I think it's the other one, right?
Yeah. But he has 2 ACLs, so I don't know.
The most recent one, or whatever.
Yeah. So that is kind of underrated. Helton hasn't really said anything about it. He didn't say anything post game Saturday. So whether we see Austin Jackson will be interesting.
Yeah.
Also kind of big, Tyler Petit hasn't practiced this week.
Oh, yes. That's a great point.
So they could be rolling with Daniel and Josh coming back.
Yeah, so Shotgun, I don't think he's still, like, let's give Shotgun another slap. I don't think his participation chart is out yet still. And now it's like Thursday afternoon and he's been sleeping all day. But, no, I didn't see it go up. But I think we were talking at practice that Daniel Metorbebe played like a record number of snaps for him. So he was out there a lot. We still haven't seen him stretch the field. He was such a weapon last year. We just haven't seen that,
I feel like he had like 2 catches on Saturday.
Yeah.
Which... Is that just because they can't really work him into the offense? Is that because he's not 100%? I don't know.
It's hard to say. But yeah, it's a good point, Chris, with Tyler Petit. Who else was... so Connor Murphy?
Yeah.
He's been out.
Which is interesting because depending on what Uchenna Nwosu is, if Connor Murphy's out, then you're going to see a lot of young guys on the D-line.
Yeah.
On the edge spot.
Okay.
Someone said... Do you expect Rector, Marshall, or Gustin to play? I don't think Gustin will play.
Yeah, don't think Gustin. Like, Gustin was a surprise. When at least Helton told us, like the Thursday before, that there was like he could play 15 snaps or something, and they ended up playing like 37. But we haven't seen him. He's been persona non grata. Like,
but that's never stopped him before.
Yeah.
I did see him on Tuesday leaving the tunnel. He was in a boot. That's the only time I saw him.
He was in a boot, though, still, yeah. And who were the other ones? So, Rector?
And Iman Marshall. I think we see some Iman Marshall, maybe?
Yeah.
Very limited.
And then I feel like Rector's a total toss-up.
Yeah, Rector, I mean, I don't know. That'll be...
Well, I just looked up the travel list, and Porter Gustin's not on it, so...
Okay.
There you go.
It's not funny that there's, like, this travel list that you can just kind of check. Yeah.
I was like, the Paracel figured that one out.
Right. Thank you to everyone on the Peristyle. Like, what was that for? It was like, some people didn't make one of the games or weren't making a trip, and we were checking injuries and stuff. And you're like, I don't know why, but so they make this list. I guess they have to disclose who's...
It's the Student Academic Services, so they have to disclose who's not who is excused and who's traveling.
Yeah.
They have to do it officially. For some reason, they have to post it publicly. I don't know why.
I'm guessing they don't do that at Alabama. Like, I'm just guessing. Like,
but the thing about it is that they have multiple versions. So the version they have this morning, they might have 2 more versions later tonight.
Oh, okay. So it could change. So someone could.
Change.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not very accurate. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone said I already got my tickets for Santa Clara, the Pac-12 championship game. Magic number is 1 for USC, so they're very confident.
Are you? Yeah, I actually emailed the crew. Like, I booked a flight. It was like $107. So it's pretty cool, like round trip to San Jose. So I was like, hey man, we should book them. Now, is there going to be some utter collapse and USC?
Man.
I'll reimburse all you guys if that happens.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I have to reimburse you anyway. But that's
yeah, I'd hope so. Larry says it seems that we've always had that coach that gets the team pumped up. Ken Norton Jr. and Coach Carroll's tenure, Coach O, over many years. Who is holding that mantle now? It seems that we've come out flat too many times, and I don't see anyone getting these players going. The interesting thing, though, is that I like to watch the sideline a lot before kickoff.
Okay.
And those guys are fired up a lot of the time. So I don't think they really have a problem being fired up because they are. I mean, Chris Hawkins is the guy who kind of goes up and down the sideline dancing and jumping. So there's a lot of grad assistants that
Yeah,
are very
those are the
loud.
guys. Yeah.
Especially in practice. It'll be like a Wednesday and everyone's half asleep and they're like, it's Wednesday! Like, and they're very, very excited. So there might not be a coach. I mean, Johnny Nansen is very loud, but I don't think there's that pump-up guy, but the grad
Yeah.
assistants do a good job.
Do you see anyone, Chris, out there? Or is like,
Just that one assistant coach who's always yelling in everyone's ear.
it was like he's like one of the, I don't know all of their.
He runs the warm-up sometimes.
Yeah, he might be a strength coach, or he might be
I
like
think he's
a.
an assistant strength coach.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. I think it's like as the pay scale. If we made a chart, like as the coach's pay scale goes down, like their enthusiasm goes up. Maybe, if you want it, like that's. I mean, that's probably pretty accurate if you look at
You
it, but
gotta
it's
make
not.
yourself known.
Huh?
You gotta make yourself known
Yeah.
lower in the food chain.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the personalities are definitely different. I think that's what the kind of thing is like. Hey, is there an Ed Orgeron? Is there a Ken Norton Jr.? No, like there really isn't. Kind of one of those guys. They're different personalities, and obviously there's a whole bunch of different ways to coach a football team. We've got the question before, hey, who's the vocal leader on offense? And I don't know if you guys can think of anyone up top. It's just there really isn't one. There's no Zach Banner. Like there's not like a Chris Hawkins on the other side, and that's part of the reason why they have 3 defensive captains and only Sam Darnold. So it's there's definitely different personalities than maybe like other makeups of USC football teams before. And I know some fans don't like that, but that's just kind of the way the staff and the team's made up right now.
Well, the interesting thing, though, the knock on Coach O was that you could get those guys hyped up, but there's always going to be a crash, kind
Yeah.
of like with caffeine, so...
Eat 3 Snickers bars or whatever.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing about Helton that we've seen this season is that they're able to come back from games and show character where teams that did have that pump-up guy didn't necessarily have that character to come back in games where they could have just dropped. So whether that's a proven strategy to have that pump-up guy and there's a direct correlation to helping, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a really good point that you look at the Sark teams, you look at the Lane Kiffin teams, when they got down, they were down. Like they weren't coming back. Like if things weren't on schedule, they didn't have that. Now, could you argue that's Sam Darnold magic? Like he's the dude that can bring guys back. Like maybe, but I mean that wasn't really like Cody Kessler's personality. Like he's a lot like to me like a lot like Jake Browning at Washington. Like when things are going on schedule and everything's work is like he can put up some crazy numbers and do all this stuff, but Darnold's a guy that's like you can punch him in the mouth and beat him up and stuff. Like if you look at the USC teams from the Pete Carroll era, before both of your times most of the time, but they weren't up like 50-0 all games. Like they would be terrible at times, they would be down, but they always knew, hey, we can come back. And Leinart and Bush and all those guys would just do whatever they needed to do to come back. The defense would make a play, and this team does have that. To Keely's point, that there's a lot of that in their personality that they can come back, and maybe they're not as confident, but we've seen them down and out and win games that I know Sark and Lane's teams wouldn't have won.
Yeah. Do you feel like fans have revisionist history on the Pete Carroll days where they're like, we blew out everyone and it was so great, when like they didn't sometimes?
I think so. I think you think about I was listening to the Sam Darnold, the Season of Sam podcast yesterday, I think, going to practice, and they had Matt Leinart on, and they were down against Arizona State. He got banged up. They were down 21 points in that game, and he's like, we just knew, like, it's okay, we'll turn it on, and we'll win in the second half. And he was out. Like, Matt Castle had to come in and was pretty terrible. And it's funny because Castle's had a way longer NFL career than Leinart had, but even him coming to the game, I don't know what it was. But Leinart comes back, and they go crazy. They could have easily lost to Fresno State. There was all these games, the Bush push Notre Dame game. Now that was a top 10 team on the road in a hostile environment. But yeah, there was tons of games where they just didn't bring their A game, and but they had the confidence to win in the end. And if you want to knock Clay Helton's teams for whatever, but they've shown that. Obviously they fell short the Washington State game, and then just never got anything going at Notre Dame. But for the most part, second half, they should have probably lost to Texas. Probably there's some games they probably should have lost. Utah, and they come back and win. So
Yeah. Shotgun says it was the assistant strength coach Keith Belton. That's who we were talking about.
you're not getting any points by helping us out here.
I know.
Shotgun.
Stop responding and get here.
Thank you, Chris, for showing up and being here. Okay, well, you're supposed to be here.
I
Chris,
guess so.
Chris is here.
Let's see.
Please tweet at Shotgun and tell him he's.
Peter says, should Porter be shut down until the bowl game? Yes.
Chris, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Why? What do you think so?
I mean, what's the value in playing him and having another setback, and then you got to wait more? I mean, they're probably going to the Pac-12 championship. You want him full, ready to go. You saw what he did against Arizona State in those limited snaps, and he really made a big difference. So why not save him for that big moment, and then hopefully you can have him not have a setback of that game, and have him for a bowl game, or possibly something more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for him, he's probably come back too soon twice now.
Yes.
Just from an outsider, whatever, it's insider, outsider opinion that's not in there in the training room. It seems like he certainly came back too fast against Texas, playing a half, and then not seeing him for 6 weeks, and then playing probably maybe he didn't come back too early against Arizona State, but playing more than what his pitch count was. Maybe that wasn't all that smart. Now, obviously, we're not inside there, but that's just, from what we're hearing. Now, I think there's a shot for the Pac-12 championship game because of the bye week and stuff before that. Maybe he gets a shot there, and then even if he does play and he gets banged up a little bit, he's got weeks to get ready for the bowl game too. I don't know, and it depends what he wants to do. Also, he had aspirations of going to the NFL. How are you going to leave when you're pretty much out the whole season?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I feel like USC's game plan should be shut everyone down who needs to be shut down the next 2 weeks. For real though, and then just bring them back for the championship.
Yeah.
Because you made it through the quote unquote hard part of the season. I feel like the only way USC will lose these next 2 games is if they beat themselves.
Yeah.
There's a clear talent difference. So.
Now Colorado's played better. But their run defense has been pretty bad, and USC's exploited that. They give up 381 yards to Arizona State, who they can run. They have good running backs, but they don't necessarily run the ball all that well all the time. UCLA's a dumpster fire. Their run defense is god awful. Literally, you could just say, "Here Ronald Jones, here Cedric Ware, here Vavai, here Stephen Carr," and not have Sam Darnold throw more than 15 passes a game, and you should be able to win the next 2 games. So to your point, I think they could rest some dudes, but
not their strong point.
And it gives some young guys a chance too, because people complain about the rotation. So if Clay's I'm taking these guys off defense, Iman Marshall, you don't get him yet. So it forces Clancy Pendergast to play some more guys. I don't know.
Maybe. Brandon says, were you worried when Arizona tied us 35-35? We don't worry.
Yeah.
We just cover the game.
Chris, were you worried? You looked worried in the press box. You looked worried.
Me?
Go ahead.
Well, she gave the right answer. We don't get worried. We just cover the game.
Yeah.
I for a more exciting game.
Yeah. I think you feel in your head what's going to happen. And I never felt that USC was going to lose. I just kind of felt it's they just imploded.
I was wow, here we go again.
Yeah.
It was.
There was a thought could they really lose this game? It was hard for me to believe that they were going to lose that game. But it's not like they really stopped Tate just with turnovers. It wasn't really stopping him on downs. It was going to be because they took the ball away. That play by John Houston was huge, and then the offense kind of flexed its muscles again. But to be bad on 4th down, to be bad in the red zone, put all those yards up and all those penalties, it just was sloppy. There were self-inflicted wounds, I thought, in that one.
Yeah.
But in the end, they played well enough to win, and they were good.
Gabriel says, what happened to Batiku? Olawale Batiku. He is a beast.
He's getting a lot of reps this week.
Okay.
At Uchenna's spot, because obviously Uchenna's been down. So, but again, with Uchenna coming back, I'm not sure he's going to have a huge role on Saturday. I think Uchenna comes back and he's going to play the whole game.
The interesting thing is that we also saw in practice Levi Jones getting reps with Wole, which I don't know what that says about Wole, considering that you have Christian Rector down, and then you had this week Uchenna down, and then you have Jordan Iosefa come in instead of when Connor was healthy. Connor Murphy wasn't in that spot, and then Connor Murphy gets hurt, and then you'd think that would be Wole's time to shine. He'll play in that spot, and then they bring in Levi Jones to have reps with him. So
Yeah.
does that make you a little concerned? Like, they don't really trust Wole to have that full spot, that backup role? I don't know.
The trust thing is a key word, and for the people that don't, like, we've said this a zillion times, like, if you look at the depth chart and it says, okay, this guy's the backup right guard, that doesn't mean that the right guard goes down and whoever the backup goes in. Jordan Iosefa was not listed as the backup, and he didn't even practice there, but they like him on the field more than other people, so they say, okay, you go play. Like, play a spot you haven't played before. Go.
They literally told him that in the Notre Dame game. They said, okay, we're putting you at outside linebacker, and he was like, okay. So
A lot of it's about trust. I think the unfortunate thing, and if, we haven't seen a lot of Wally Batiku and Connor Murphy. They were supposed to be the backups behind Porter Gustin, but it didn't take long for them to get in the game and they really just didn't have a lot of production, in my opinion. I think Batiku's first play against Arizona was an offside. So it's like they put him in the game and he goes offsides in the very first play.
according to Shotgun, Wole only played the final. He's texting me stats to make me sound smart. Wole only played the final defensive snap of the game. Levi played 3 snaps at Sam earlier in the game. So as far as trust goes,
Right. I think Batiku was actually in a snap earlier, but was offside, so it didn't count, and he got taken out.
Right.
So I believe that was the case. So he technically wasn't in there. But those are the kind of things that happen if you see a Connor Murphy come in and just really get erased by a blocker and just taken out of the play, or Batiku going offsides or whatever it is. They just haven't seen that production. Now a guy like Levi Jones, he's not been in that much. But we've seen production. We've seen production from him on special teams, and he got, I think, 1 play against Texas and got pressure on the quarterback. There's been a lot of things like that. So why wouldn't a Levi Jones play more? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Shotgun says no. He was offsides against Arizona State.
Oh, he was? Okay, my bad. Sorry.
But I do remember that. I don't know.
I thought it was against. Okay, whatever.
We'll be here, Shotgun, to tell us your stats.
Yeah, you could do that, but
Bill says, question, I really admire Coach Baxter. Has anyone heard his analysis why Arizona was getting long kickoff returns, especially in the second half of the game? I saw one excellent coverage in the first half, trapping the return player about the 15 on the kickoff. It seems like USC has been giving up too much yardage on kickoffs.
any thoughts, Chris? You want to jump in or no?
I haven't talked to Baxter in weeks.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't talked to him in weeks either. I've not been impressed, and I've said this many times, with USC special teams play overall. So probably not the best person to ask, because I'm not. It's not like, oh, they've been great at returns or great at stopping. No, I mean they've been below average for sure, and they spend a lot of time in practice on it. They spend resources as far as scholarships go. They have guys on the bench that are scholarshiped special teams players coming out of high school. They have a dedicated special teams coordinator. I just think they should be better. They're just not. They've not been that good. You're going to go against Colorado's got a 30-year-old freshman kicker from Australia.
That's great. I love it.
They're pretty good on punt returns. Like I said in the Arizona game, like Arizona was awful at punting. Like we said this last week when I was giving you the preview. I said they're just terrible at punting. They have other good special teams aspects that are good. Punting, they'll probably go for it a lot because they're just bad at it. Well, USC's defense was shutting them down. It was 3rd and long, in their own 20. They couldn't go for it in those situations. It wasn't like it was 4th and 3 and they could have to do something. They were forced to punt, and USC ended up blocking a punt. Now, was that like some great scheme? The snap went to the guy's feet and he couldn't get the punt off, and it was fairly terrible. But so that was a good special teams play at least. But you knew going in Arizona, like that's the weakest part was the punt game. But I don't know if you guys have any other special teams thoughts, but
Not really. I don't study the special teams that much.
I just think they should be better overall with the kind of resources they put into it.
Yeah,
I
I agree. Especially how much they practice.
They practice it a lot.
A lot.
And I think Shotgun was at I'll throw him under the bus. No, I'm just kidding.
Again.
No, we were at practice and like watching some special teams drills, and like some of the stuff they could have done like the early point. And they do some of it early, but they could have done some of this like before practice and stuff. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever, indeed. Louis says Lindale White and Reggie Bush were great in the backfield at the same time. Why don't they bring that style back?
Not the first person to bring that up. They'd like to see, but this is a different style of offense. This isn't a pro style offense. This is more spread based. They're going to be 3rd and 1. They're in the shotgun or in the pistol, and that's just. I mean, I know a lot of USC fans don't like that, but that's just kind of the way it is. You're going to see shotgun if you look at his participation chart, if he ever gets it up. Like how many?
Shoot him down! Wow, can't even fend for himself.
No, obviously he does a great job with it. He'll tell you what formations they use, and usually they'll be in a 2-back formation like twice a game, and one of them might be like for a kneel down or something, you know. That's just not the style of offense that they have, and I know, you know, they got good running back. You could argue that's probably the best coached position right now. Like I think Dealing and McCullough's come in and they've done a great job. You're not seeing them fumble the ball. You've seen a lot of big runs by multiple guys. I mean, Stephen Carr's had huge plays. You've had obviously Ronald Jones. Vavai's had big plays. You know, Cedric Ware is like the 4th guy in, and he goes over for 100 yards. You know, so they're pretty efficient at what they're doing as running backs. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that, but that's just really not the style of offense. I don't know if you guys have any different thoughts or.
Just on the fumbles, only 2 this year, both by Carr.
Oh, okay. The true freshman.
Yeah, I talked to Dylan about it. I have more in the war room, but
nice.
Just listen. I love talking to Dylan because he just gives these great answers.
Yeah.
And he was just when he was talking, I asked him about the fumble, and he just kind of got mad about it. He was like, "That's unacceptable." He takes a lot of pride in that meeting room, so I can see why they don't fumble the ball very often.
Yeah.
Plus, he's made it such an emphasis from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in fall camp, we saw all these weird contraptions where he was like pulling the ball out and punching it out, and not only that, but yards after contact. He's made that such an emphasis for them that when I asked Cedric Ware this week, I was like, "That seems like you guys have just been so much better this season." He goes, "Dylan makes it such a big deal." Like he was like, "Oh." So obviously Dylan is just like hammering it in them, but you can see the difference. They're just tougher running backs who just run through guys.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily see that in earlier seasons. So.
Yeah, he calls it running through trash, right? Is that what Dylan would say?
Trash.
And it's funny when we kind of look at a lot of the USC hires over the years, and they're so like insular a lot of the times of who they're hiring. They're only the people that they know. And he was a guy that's like, oh, he's putting dudes in the NFL at Indiana, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, he recruits well. He develops guys. He's a good game day coach. You know, like, oh, I like that. Like, he's a really good running back coach. Go hire him. Do we have any ties to him? No. So I'd love to see USC hire that way more. Like, what do you need? Oh, you need this? Go find a good one. Not, he's my buddy, you know?
He also was a principal, which I think is an interesting little factor. Might make you better at connecting with people.
Really nice guy. He was right here in the studio. He came in pre-season. He came in and we did a Peristyle podcast. It was really nice and we had him and Coward in at the same time. Like we did 2 different podcasts, but they were both here at the same time. Like I never have like in-studio guests, and we just happened to like double book like one day. I'm like, oh. You
were flexing your muscles, so Dylan knew the.
Yeah. Well, he loved meeting Colin. Yeah. I mean, Colin's great. I mean, he's fun to. He'll come talk with us whenever we want. So.
My child says, does USC have a chance of getting into the playoff? Dun, dun, dun. Were you surprised that they were ranked number 11?
I was. You told me at practice, and I was like, what?
Cool.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I did not see them coming in that high. I thought maybe 13, maybe 12 if they were lucky. Could they make the playoff? I don't think the door's open. I think the door's like jiggling. Someone's jiggling the handle.
I like that.
But they need a lot of stuff to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like that loss against Notre Dame just kind of takes them out. Even if they had lost close or well or looked competent against, because you can excuse Wazoo. The O-line had so many injuries. It was a Friday game. You can't excuse just the performance we saw against Notre Dame. It was just bad.
Didn't show up. Yeah.
And you can't. And if you're gonna look at Notre Dame's ranked high, USC just got demolished. It doesn't give you credence to move them up. But
it's hard because the Notre Dame game being blown out is obviously awful, but they're kind of hanging their hats on a close loss to a team above them, Georgia. So you're like, well, Notre Dame's pretty good because they only lost by a point to Georgia, and Georgia's good because they beat Notre Dame, and USC got destroyed by that. So it's like it's going to be hard to be above Georgia without, would Georgia need like 3 losses because they've beat Notre Dame and USC gets crushed by them. And there's teams behind USC. Michigan State's right behind USC. Their resume, if they went out, will be a better 2-loss resume. The whole thing is, no one's ever made it with 2 losses before. I think it could happen. Obviously, USC has to win out. You'd want to beat like Washington in the championship, but they would need a lot of help. Someone wrote into my podcast like, "Hey, there's a great chance." I'm like, "No, there's certainly not a great chance." I mean, but there's a chance. The door is jiggling.
It's jiggling. Okay, but here's my question: why is that your goal? I know obviously why it's your goal, but the best scenario, USC is the 4th team. They're probably going to play Alabama 1-4. Do you really want to see that Alabama-USC matchup again? Because it's probably not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do you want the cloud of being in the college football playoff? Maybe, yeah, but do you want to lose? I don't know.
Think back to this summer. Like, if you're a USC fan and you're watching this, and you probably are, or you're like one of our relatives or something, which makes you that anyway, you felt good all offseason because you won the Rose Bowl, right? Like, that was, yes, starting 1-3, that was blowy, doing all this stuff. But to win the Rose Bowl, win 9 games in a row, win the Rose Bowl, like everyone at USC, we were on cloud 9 for the entire offseason, until you start thinking about the next game and then you get worried about everything and all that stuff. But the whole offseason, you can talk about the Rose Bowl. If USC wins out and finishes, 10-2, beats like Washington or something, 11-2, and goes to the Fiesta Bowl and beats like a Big 12 team or whatever it is, like, you'd still feel pretty good about the season. I don't think this is not, I agree with Keely. I don't think this is like a playoff sort of thing where it's possible, but I don't think that should be like the goal. And you'll probably, Washington made the playoff last year and gets blanked, so it's like, do you feel great about that? I don't know. I mean, probably not. I mean, it'd be nice to make the playoff, but I think the most important thing is winning the Pac-12. And they match up pretty well against Washington, I think. I mean, you could argue they're the most talented team in the conference still. So, yeah, I think winning the Pac-12 would be, like, the people that worry about the playoff and all that stuff, like, eh.
Yeah, because USC hasn't won a Pac-12 championship since 2008.
Right.
So I feel like
you weren't even born, right? Like, were you not?
I was just a fetus. No, but, like, the goal should be chronological. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be get the Pac-12 championship, be happy with that, and then continue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think, like, winning the South is something you should feel all that good about because the South is, like...
I don't think...
But winning the Pac-12 is something you should feel good about.
I tend to say Pac-12 South champions, but that's not a thing. I had to, like, cut that out because you just win the South. You're not a champion.
Yeah, it's, like, not really... Like, you're going to put a banner up for, like, hey, we won the Pac-12 South. No, you like Arizona or something. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, Colorado, hadn't had a winning record for years, and they won the Pac-12 South last year. It's like, that's something, But for USC, it's like, no, you winning the Pac-12 should be the main thing.
Brandon says, what was your opinion of Tate having the most rushing yards on the Arizona team last Saturday?
You mean, like... he's bonkers. Like, he ran for more yards in the month of October than anyone has in, like, 10 years, It's... What he's doing is... astounding, and the fact that USC was able to shut him down for a while, at least for 40 minutes or so, is pretty good. Now, he started to get his at the end there, but no, he's a ridiculous player. It's a perfect system for him. He's, of course, going to be the leading rusher. I mean, he could make the Heisman, without starting the first, 4 or 5 games or whatever, he could make the Heisman, trip to New York. Even against USC, they lost, but he came back and tied the game. I don't think it hurt. And everyone else ahead of him in the Heisman race, except Baker Mayfield, like, kind of crapped out. So he's still got a good shot. What did you guys think of watching Tate. Chris, what did you saw him in person? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, what do you have, like 161? I think that's a huge win considering that's the lowest he's had all season.
Right, yeah.
With the start, so that's really great off the bat. And I think if you take away those rushing yards, Arizona only had like 73 total yards from everyone else. Maybe that's what he was mentioning.
Oh, yeah.
They did a good job on everyone outside of Tate. But Tate's going to get his. You can't really stop him. You can slow him down, which is what USC did in the end. So I think you gotta take that. He also had his worst day as a passer, worst passer rating against USC. So that's all. I think you take those.
and I think if the USC offense played better, they would have done even better on Tate. Like basically the USC offense stalled out and let them back in. Now, if USC's up by 21 or, like when they should have been later in the game when they, was down to like 8 points or whatever, it's probably a different story. You force him to pass more. And like Chris said, he wasn't having the best. Some of those, it just looked like he was just throwing up balls, like hoping something would happen. But a lot of times those running quarterbacks, because you have to respect the run so much, it opens up passing lanes. So
I think I recorded like 10 of his passes that were just like way over the mark or just way out of bounds or just not even close.
Yeah.
So.
And, like a J.J. Taylor, like he had gone off on other teams. Like maybe they were kind of slow to get him going. And then once Tate was running all over the teams, like it would free things up for him. So USC didn't allow that to happen either. Like Chris said, like the other running backs didn't go crazy. So I thought it was a good plan and scheme. And if the offense helped out a little bit, it probably would have been even better.
Yeah, I know some fans were kind of mad that like he kind of had his in the second half, but I was asking Jordan ISF about that, like what was the cause of that? And when I said that, his eyes just got wired, and he was like, Khalil just came out of the locker room after the half as a different person. He was like, he was a beast. And I mean, Uchenna Nwosu and Chris Hawkins said that was the most tired they've ever been in a game.
Yeah.
I mean, to do that to a quarterback who was looking so crazy coming into that game, you should be happy with the results.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if he would have done that in the first half, then you're like kind of down. To shut him out for at least a half plus, Yeah.
And plus, the way that USC's offense worked in the first half wasn't that amazing. I mean, the interception, the loss of downs, it was good. It was the best scenario for USC.
Yeah.
And they sacked him 5 times, which...
Yeah. Arizona had given up 5 sacks all season.
Yeah, so...
So for them, like Chris said, to sack 5 times, that's pretty good.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah, don't be too greedy.
Tito says, is Iman on the second team to ease him in, or is it a way to motivate him to earn his spot back? So Clancy Pendergast said at the beginning of the season that players who are out for injury never have to earn their spot back. So that's a thing that he'll have his spot back. I think it's to ease him in, but the interesting thing about having him on the second team is that the second team goes against the first team offense. So it's not necessarily easing him in. I think it's more just testing him. I don't know. Probably to ease him in as well. So, yeah.
You think?
I mean, that's pretty much standard what we've seen. Just kind of get them in on the second team, give them a little bit of game action, get their timing in, and go on from there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary.
No. Dale says, how healthy is Carr? He put a move on a defender yesterday that made everyone go, oh. So I think he's healthy, pretty much, if not 100% close to there.
Yeah, he broke somebody's ankle.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, so Dylan talked about a little bit more about this, that, Carr's been out 4 weeks, and even in practice, your timing is off. That's why he didn't play a lot against Arizona, because he told him up front, I'm not going to play you a lot.
Yeah.
Because he just wanted him to get the feel of a game so he can start getting that back to normal routine. He said, you could tell he hadn't played in a while in practice, and I think we saw a little bit of that. He wasn't the same explosive guy or making all these plays like we'd seen before. But Dylan said this week he's looked a lot better, as you mentioned with that move. So he's getting his timing back. I think we'll see more of him this week. But he's getting back into the flow of things.
He adds a different dimension for sure, like catching the ball. Rojo had that really nice catch and stuff, but it's a regular thing with Stephen Carr. It's a wide receiver basically. So, people that want 2 backs back there. I mean, he's back there. It's like an extra wide receiver back there. He's like.
Oh, sorry.
No, he's that good. Yeah.
Cutting you off.
No, you're fine.
Eddie says, what are the chances that T. Martin is gone after the season?
High. It's. There's been rumors and stuff about it before. there's three heads basically in the offense right now with the two Helton guys, Tyson and Clay and T Martin. I know he's interviewed places before. His alma mater has their dumpster fire. Tennessee's just awful right now. They still haven't fired Butch Jones. I don't think he's getting like the head job there, but there's been talk about it. Like, there's potential for that, but I kind of just see him settling in with something else. He was a nominee for the Broyles Award, like the top offensive, or the top, like one of the top assistant coaches in the country, and I tweeted that out, and I got all these people like, he's terrible, blah, 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 blah. I kind of think he gets a lot of criticism for stuff that maybe he's not doing or a little bit out of his control. I think the problem more is like there's just too many cooks in the kitchen on the offense sometimes. And sometimes it works well, and sometimes it's like it looks like it's too many people are talking about it.
I'm so curious about the dynamic because T's a natural leader, and he's like a natural alpha. And then now he's the offensive coordinator, and Clay was his peer at one point. But now Clay is his boss, essentially.
Yeah.
And then he's now stuck with Clay's brother. Not stuck, but he's with Clay's brother.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a natural like alpha leader, that must be hard to be under someone who once was your peer and then his brother. It seems like a weird dynamic. I don't know. Just curious about it.
That's a nice psychology breakdown.
Thank you. I like psychology.
It is. I mean, it's a little weird. And to have both of those guys up in the booth, Tyson and T, we've said from the beginning it'd be better to have one of them on the field to talk to Sam, because Keely's down there watching on the sideline, and Sam's just, this is weird. Like, I don't know if he's basically like this by himself hanging out while everything else is going on. Sometimes he'll cheer for a big defensive play, but just watch him on the sidelines, and he's like, he doesn't talk to anybody. He's by himself.
He has been putting on the headset more.
Okay.
He did it a lot in ASU, but that was something that we didn't really see in the beginning of the season, him putting on the headset. So you wonder what the communication is like. Yeah.
So the offensive assistants and coaches are all on headsets, so they can communicate. So like Clay can talk to the booth and all that kind of stuff. And, they're basically calling something down. One of the grad assistants or whatever will then know which thing to hold up. They hold up those cards and everything to signal the play in. But after the series, it just seems like he's kind of hanging out by himself a lot of the times.
Brian says, Rojo almost ran over Keely on his last touchdown. It's true. He didn't try to. That's the thing. I feel like he came around and then he saw the camera, and I think he was trying to pose for the camera, and he got close, but then everyone else was excited and was jumping on him, and then he just ran into me, and I was like, oh no. Because I was like, I've never been scared of if I'm going to get hit or whatever. It's the shot first. So I'm like, oh, this is a great shot. He's right in front of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's on me. So it was funny.
I actually watched that happen. I was behind the end zone watching it happen. I was like, is Keely going to go on the IR this week?
Oh, yeah, because that was one of the late touchdowns.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. That was the last one of the last ones, I believe.
I think, yeah, so we're not on the field. So Chris and I are up in the press box, and with Dan Weber, we are not allowed on the field till 5 minutes left. So around 5 minutes, we'll start walking down, and so then you can kind of be on there for some exciting stuff, and see Keely almost get run over. You tweeted it out, right? Like a video or something?
Yeah, someone tweeted at me, lol, and then I watched the video, and it was me being like, ah. But I wasn't actually scared. I was laughing, but.
Oh, so they have someone has a video of you
It was the ESPN video of me getting run over.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I saw that one. Okay.
And I got texts of people being like, did you just get run over? And I was like, yes, I did. People I didn't even talk to in a while. They were like, were you on the field? I was like, yes.
Have you ever been hit like that?
No. That was, it's been close, but that one was very up close.
Nice.
Brandon says, is the team ready for the climate change on Saturday? That was interesting. I was kind of asking about that a little bit this week. Chris Hawkins said the last time they were in Colorado, he had to get an IV, and he was having shortness of breath. Jordan Iosefa, the Hawaiian, said he's never been in weather less than 40 degrees. That might be a shock for him.
Yeah.
But there is that altitude change, which is interesting.
Yeah, with Hawkins, he says he has the sickle cell trait, so that's why.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I have something in the war room about it. But
Nice. Look, Chris got that concept. So that has something to do with the altitude then, his sickle
Yeah.
cell.
Because the oxygen in the blood cells.
Okay. Yeah, I would think so. The cold is one thing. The fact that it's the middle of the day game, like it's worse. It'd be worse at night. If it was 7 p.m. kickoff or something. But I think the altitude is going to be the bigger thing because that does make a difference. When you try to run or whatever. If you've ever done that, I mean, you try to bake cookies at altitude. It's like a different thing. It's like it just changes everything. It changes a lot. So
interesting.
Yeah. We'll see.
Johnny says, what are the thoughts on the offensive line and the freshmen getting playing time due to injuries of more experienced players? I mean, for this season, it's not ideal to have freshmen getting that, like, against Wazoo, getting thrown in like that. But in the long run, that helps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you have guys like, you had guys like Vianney and Toa who are such vets right now is because they were thrown in as freshmen.
Mm.
So it's a give and take.
Have you seen anything from the offensive line, Chris? What do you?
No, I watch Andrew Voorhees a lot.
Okay.
Because I know they're using him in some pulling stuff, and I really like what he brings to the table. But he still hasn't put it all together yet. Because he had that big holding call in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That almost it could have really sunk that offensive drive if not for that big Pittman catch.
Yeah.
For 20 yards the next play. But they're still learning. I think Austin Jackson's come a long way. I mean, he looked really good early in the season, but now that he's getting more playing time, I think he's really standing out a little bit more.
Yeah.
More so than Voorhees, but he's actually starting now. So.
Yeah, with Voorhees, it's like he's played so much this year. It's almost like he's not a true freshman anymore. And like you said, I think it's going to help. Long term, you would have liked some of the other guys that maybe have been around a little longer to have been ahead of him, but we'll see. Like they got to develop, and for whatever reason, they had trust in him. He was like one of the least heralded, offensive line recruits they had in that class of 2017, but he's the guy out there starting, so.
Let's see. Michael Pittman seems to be in the right place at the right time, making smart plays and not usually in the spotlight. Do you see him getting more playing time this week?
He's pretty big on special teams. I mean, he made a mark there last year and, did he get the punt block? Arizona.
Yeah, he blocked the punt. Yeah,
I mean,
the what?
he ran into the punt.
He was in the way of yes. But give him credit for that. People would always ask about him, why isn't he playing more? And I was worried about Tyler Vaughn's playing more, obviously. So he did have that one. Was it ASU where the really nice tough touchdown run that got called back, and he brings something different, because he's a bigger body out there. I think it's going to be about Sam trusting him more. But the rotation right now, I mean, I think Sam's good with Burnett, obviously. He trusts Tyler Vaughn's at the most critical situations. Stephen Mitchell's been, really good. He's been solid and making plays and looks more, I think he looks more electric than from, even before after suffering the knee injury. So you got the top three are pretty solid. But I think he can certainly get in the mix more. What are you guys seeing from him?
I think it depends on Stephen Mitchell's health this week too, because that's why you saw more of him to begin with, just because Stephen Mitchell kind of had that spot. But I think the reps he's getting now, I mean, he told me that he's not going to be 100% healthy until the season's over, just because he just hurt that ankle so bad in fall camp. But I think the reps he's getting now are going to be vital going forward, because you're not going to have Stephen Mitchell next year.
Yeah.
So getting those reps, we saw this year how that was such a problem, how green some of the wide receivers were. So I think just him getting the reps that he is now, while it is valuable for this season, it's going to be much more valuable going forward.
He brings something that no other wide receiver does, just with his size. I mean, he can catch the ball and then have two defenders bounce off him while he's picking up extra yardage, as opposed to the other guys who are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Even though Tyler Vaughn's does have a really nice stiff arm.
It's weird. Yeah, that's an aspect of his game I didn't expect, that his yards after catch stuff. But Pittman, you expect that. I mean, he looks like a big safety out there. What else we got? So I think we're probably 5 minutes left. We try to stop at the. Is actually Shotgun coming for the Family Feud podcast? Or?
No, he said I have to call him in.
Okay, so you guys will do that afterwards. So there's
he says
not.
He has us in the background while he's working, and I rolled Shotgun, so you know. Let's see.
Oh, Shotgun doesn't show up to a live production. I spent days preparing for this. He doesn't even show up.
People are asking about who USC could potentially face in the North for the Pac-12 championship game.
So all three are still Stanford, Washington, and Washington State are all still alive. The Apple Cup is obviously going to be a big deal. Washington's playing Stanford on a Friday night on the road.
I'm
It's so
pulling a
stupid.
Dan, but it's like the
It's so
Pac-12.
dumb.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's have Alabama Auburn play on Friday night. Like, no, that's dumb. But that's what the Pac-12 is doing. The Pac-12 is also the only conference that's having, it's 4 or 5 of the teams still haven't had a bye yet. We're in November, so no other conference I think has done that. But okay, so Stanford needs, Stanford needs a little bit more help, but Washington and Washington State control their own destiny, and I think Stanford has to beat Washington, and then Washington would have to beat Washington State. I think that's kind of how it works. So Stanford's less likely. But the Apple Cup will, almost essentially decide. If Washington wins on Friday, then it'll be the Apple Cup that kind of decides everything.
And if you're a USC fan who's still following the college playoff, you want Washington to be the opponent. You want Washington to win out.
That would be the best opponent. You want Stanford to beat Notre Dame, and I don't know about Miami Notre Dame because
I think you want Miami.
You think so get Notre Dame kind of out of there. But then, like, you have, maybe Miami makes a run. Yeah, you can't have 2 SEC teams. I don't think you can have Notre Dame. Like,
we need to make a giant board.
Yeah,
like a cork board with
it's
all
probably
of
a little.
In those murder shows where they have like the conspiracy, like this guy did this in the red little string. We need that. Greg says, so play calling is by committee, and T doesn't have control of the play calling. Who does Clay want to call plays? His brother? And is it worth losing a recruiter like T because you want to call plays yourself and or have your brother call plays? Question mark.
Well, T's the main play caller. What I think is going on is that there's, they've all talked about third down plays. Tyson's supposed to call those because he's the passing game coordinator. So that kind of muddies the water a little bit. We've also heard some overrides that can happen because they're up in the booth. Everything has to basically go through Clay. So if Clay wants something to happen, he's there. He just tells the guy to do it, So I think there's 3 cooks in there. I think T's the main play caller, but there's outside influences that kind of happen. And I do agree he's their best recruiter.
That's pretty much it as far as questions that I would like to say.
Chris, have you seen, as far as recruiting goes, when you're out the games, is T. Martin's name the one that comes up the most, you think? Or
Pretty much. I do think Dylan's going to be a really good recruiter. I think he is a really good recruiter. I think he's just, getting his foot in the SoCal. So
if you watch his interviews, you get fired up. You're like, yeah, okay.
I want to play for this guy.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that you believe what he's saying to you. And that's a hard thing to do.
He's very honest. He's very blunt and honest. And
Yeah.
I think recruits and parents of recruits will appreciate that.
Yeah, he's and that being a former principal, I think that probably helps him, being on the administrative side of things. As far as recruiting goes, it's not like a year. It'd been great to see him recruit like a Stephen Carr, but there's not that kind of local 5-star running back this year. If he was around when they were recruiting Najee Harris and Stephen Carr, that would have been interesting. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. Don't forget, so go to our USC, go to USCfootball.com, our USC Sports Free Board. So it's the top pin thread. It's the game within the game, Week 11 Colorado edition, TGWTG. So go in there. If you're not registered, it's free just to register and post. You don't have to. There's no free trial or anything. Just register, get a user if you don't have a username yet, so you can post on the message board. Answer those questions there, and the top 3 people who score, it's basically all the things that are going to happen USC Colorado. We will give you one of these, the Bling Wear cups, USC National Championships, and the cool part is everyone loves it when you see them. You put it, it's like you're wearing a championship ring. So they're pretty cool if you want to drink out of one of these. We'll give away 3 of them free, and then, of course, if you want to go to blingwear.com, blingwear.com, use the code Peristyle, and you'll get 20% off your order. So don't forget about to do that. I'm going to make a whole team go on. We won't win them, but if we go on and if we beat you, we can kind of talk a little trash. That'll be good. All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys. You guys showed up, which is good.
I couldn't miss my debut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris,
Shotgun actually said, I didn't show up as an opportunity to give No, I didn't show up. As an inside job to get Trevino his big opportunity.
Ah.
So this was all a setup.
I was gonna say, is this a test? Is this a test?
Yeah.
Did
He
I-
moved over on the fly. That was good.
Yep.
I really was expecting him to kind of come in. I didn't like him.
You're counting down. I was like, wow, is he really not going to be here? Like, wow. So
Because Keely, like, if she'll show up late, it's like she'll skip Starbucks, or whatever. So she'll try to do
I
her stuff.
sacrificed for this.
She does. Sweet. All right. Well, Chris M Trevino on Twitter. At Keely is my name. At Inside Troy. If you want to do shotgun, at shotgun SBR. But
but tweet him, tease him.
yeah,
something.
send him. So yeah, if you tag us if you want and tease him, that would be wonderful. That's great stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed it. There will be a Family Feud podcast coming up. We've already done a whole bunch of podcasts this week. Lots of coverage on USCFootball.com. Like I said, Dan and Keely will be in Boulder to see Ralphie run and to see the Trojans. Yeah, Ralphie.
I've never seen Ralphie.
It's like that's one of my favorite venues in the Pac-12 for sure, and that's definitely a really cool mascot experience. So I think you'll enjoy it. But yeah, so that's Keely, Chris, and myself, Ryan. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
Oh, we didn't predict scores.